Hey, smuggling's what is happening? So in this video, we're going to be talking about the film La Chimera, which is the new film by Alice Rohrwacher, and I think that's how I pronounce her name. I believe. I'm probably butchering that, but we're going to go with that one for now. And so it's Josh O'Connor, Isabela Rossellini, and Carol Duarte. Another name is hard to pronounce, but I think that's how you pronounce the name. But they're all very good in this film, and the film is an adventure comedy drama. Got a few different genres in there, and I loved it. I absolutely love this film, and I have to let you know that right off the bat because it is well worth your time if you're thinking about watching it. And I'm gonna start off with a plot. With this, it takes place in the 1980s, and we have the young vagabond named Arthur, played by Josh O'Connor. Used to be an archaeologist and used to run around with a group of grave robbers essentially, and he returns home after being imprisoned for stealing certain artifacts, and then he comes home to realize that his ex-girlfriend's missing, nowhere to be found, and he has very little in the way of prospects. And then we find that his gang of grave robbers learn of these Etruscan artifacts that are able to be taken, and then he starts looking for them with them, and that's where the bulk of the film takes place looking for these artifacts. He's also looking for the impossible dream, the La Chimera, this passageway to the afterlife, and this mystical idea that he desperately wants to find as well. So we've got that going on in the film, and the film is great. Like I said, I loved the film, really did love it, and I was really impressed by it. And I'm gonna go off where I start the ratings for the film. So I'm gonna go through the bad first. That's the structure I usually follow. Go for the bad first, then the good, and then the final verdict of the film. And not much to say with the bad for this film. I think a couple of things are that there's a character that breaks the fourth wall in the film at a certain point, and that took me out of it a little bit. It's not a massive deal, but I thought it was a bit of an odd decision to have the character address the audience directly, because there's that idea that art is a great illusion and addressing the audience breaks it. And I think that's very true for this one. It's funny because art is a big topic in this film. Obviously, the characters are stealing art most of the time, so it's very appropriate in that way. But that's one of the biggest detractions from the film from me. And I would say it's a little bit long as well. It's a little bit too long, and it's coming in 132 minutes. I think it could have shaved off 10 or 15 minutes to the film, would have made it more cohesive. But that is pretty much about it for the minor issues with the film. And like I said, it's an amazing film. It really is a great film. Fully realized 80s. It feels like you're in the 80s when you're watching the film, and the Italian landscape is so beautiful because it takes place in southern Tuscany, which I've been to, and loved it so much. Loved the way it made you feel like you were back in Italy, and you've got the way the film was actually filmed, which is on 16mm and 35mm camera format, so it has that style of an old 80s, and even before that time, it feels a lot like that, just because of the way it's filmed, and it feels so nostalgic and so retro in a beautiful way. And I really did love that about the film. And the character Arthur is this person that used to be an archaeologist and goes back to his band of grave robbers that sort of use him to get these artifacts because he has a skill which is useful in getting the actual artifacts. And Josh O'Connor is really great. I think this guy's going to be a really big star, quite honestly, because he's so emotive with his face. He's borderline silent in this film. He doesn't speak a lot in this film, but you see so much through his facial expressions. And I really did love him in Challengers, which came out earlier this year, and does a great job here as well. So I really did think a lot of his performance in this film, and the blend of the two camera formats of 35mm and 16mm formats does really add to the immersion of the film. Really brings you into that time period of southern Tuscany, and I really did love that part of the film. And I think another thing is the camaraderie of the main character Arthur and his friends is really great. There's a realistic depiction of friendship. It's not as though they are friends all the time and they're happy with each other all the time. They have loads of arguments and they still love each other. They still are really great to each other within the film, but it's realistic and they have these arguments, and it's a really realistic depiction of friendship, I'd say, and I really did like that part of it as well. And that's the major point of the film, is that it's pursuing this impossible dream, this La Chimera, and Arthur uses abilities to sort of go to these sites where there may be an archaeological artifact and tries to get them, and does it with the help of his friends, and it's really good. And like I said, he comes home to Isabella Rossellini, who's the mother of his ex-girlfriend that he can't find, and Isabella Rossellini is always really good. She hasn't been in a film that I've seen in a long time. The film I remember the most for is Blue Velvet, which she was great in. She was very young in that film. She was in her 20s, I believe, and you saw that film with Kyle MacLachlan was in it as well, and she did a really good job here as well. So I love seeing her again. It was really nice to see her, and they really do work with each other well, Isabella Rossellini and Josh O'Connor. And the film initially seems much more serious than actually ends up being. It ends up being a bit lighter than you'd actually think, and that was a pleasant surprise to me. And the film just really immerses you in that time period. I think that's the thing that I took away from it the most, is that I felt as though I was in the southern Tuscany region of Italy in the 1980s. And because I've seen this place, because I've been to the southern Tuscany, because I've been to places within that region, it really did feel quite tangible to me. And that is something that I really did love about it. And I will bring up another minor point actually, which is that the ending is very abrupt. And I wish there's a bit more to it, because the rest of the film is so fully realized and there's so much that's there within the bulk of the film. But it's that little ending that's a bit more rushed. And I know I seem a bit hypocritical because I was complaining about the fact it seemed a bit long. I think the middle is the part that really stretches beyond its limits, and it's not a major issue. Like I said, it's just a minor quibble with the film, because I pretty much loved everything else, and it's the style of the film, the way it's shot, the performances, writing is really good as well. It is in Italian. It is a subtitle film for the majority of it, and I love subtitled films, so that's not an issue for me at all. But I know that is a barrier for certain people, and that is fair enough, but not an issue for me. I loved subtitle films. Some of my favorite films are subtitles, so that's not an issue at all. And I want to see more from this director. I was looking at the filmography, the films that she's done, and I'm not familiar with a lot of them. There's a lot of foreign films, and I think this one has seemed to have more traction than her previous efforts, but I am interested in checking them out now after seeing this one. And I really did love it, like I said. And those are my thoughts on the film. I really don't have much bad to say, like I said, and there's an amazing sense of place in this film, and you really do feel like you're thrust in that time period, and I absolutely love that. And I want to know what you guys think of this film if you've seen it. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments about this. If I've convinced you to check it out as well, really love to know that. and I'm gonna give the verdict. So the film for me is a 9 out of 10. Like I said, minor quibble with the odd moment where the character breaks the fourth wall, which I thought was unnecessary and pulled me out a little bit, directly addressing the audience. And the middle stretch is a bit too much, I think, and I think 10 or 15 minutes could have been shaved off in that particular portion of the film. And the ending's a little bit rough, but I really think it's an amazingly crafted film. And I will also say as well, the transitions that the director used, I really loved. I thought they were really seamless, and I really did love those transitions. They were really good and really impressive. And like I said, I can't wait to see more from this director because she's clearly got a knack for making great films, and I'd love to see more from her. And yeah, guys, that's like my verdict of the film. It is a 9 out of 10. Smoggy recommends this film. So want to hear what you guys think if you've seen it and what your thoughts are on the film. And that is the review for this one, guys. And I will see you smugglings soon. I will say right now, it looks like I'm doing one video a day. I think that's the cadence that is going at the minute. I'm not sure how long that's really going to be kept up. I am sort of seeking out new films to review, and that's what I'm doing at the minute. And I want to talk about them obviously when I see them. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. But we'll find the rhythm, like I said, we'll find the rhythm, so it's no problem at all. But yeah, guys, really appreciate you watching, and I will see you soon. So cheers, smugglings, and I will see you soon.